Hello, everyone. You've tuned into Business Today, and I'm Aakanksha. Today, we have with us a very special guest, Nadia Tolokonnikova. She's the founder of Pussy Riot, which is a feminist protest art collective, and she has also recently started a new project called as the Unicorn DAO. We'll know all about it, but let's just welcome Nadia to our show. Nadia, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, for our viewers who are not actually aware of what Pussy Riot does and what it means, could you please tell us what your idea of Pussy Riot is?
Pussy Riot is a conceptual art performance collective that started a feminist movement. We founded Pussy Riot in 2011 when Putin was about to go to become president for the third time. And as you probably know, Russia is not a democracy. So Putin forgot to ask Russian people if they want him to be the president for the next time. So we decided to go to the streets and protest against our dictator and protest for feminist values. We were standing for rights of LGBTQ plus people in Russia. Their position is becoming increasingly worse over the years, and it's generally been sad for me to see how democracy has been deteriorating under Vladimir Putin. So in 2011, we started this feminist movement, and we would perform guerrilla style, free of charge performances on the main streets of mostly Moscow, in the public transport, on the Red Square, and all sorts of places to just communicate with people and tell them what we think about our government. And after 6 years of, after 6 months of, only 6 months of our activity, we were arrested and put in jail for 2 years. I spent 2 years in Russian jail. I ended up in Siberian jail. I went through multiple hunger strikes. I wrote an open letter about prison conditions that became really prominent and led to serious consequences for Russian prison system. I highlighted ugly facts that we have system of slave labor still in place, and things have not changed that much since time of Gulag. And the my prison warden is ended up under criminal case himself. Now he is permanently banned from ever serving in prison system again, and now he is under probation, which is I find my personal one of my personal biggest achievements in life. And after we served 2 years in jail, got out, and we decided that it's important to start something that will help people to understand what's happening in our country in reality. And we started a media outlet. We were not media managers by no means. We were just a company of artists and punks and performers, but we felt that it's our duty to give real news to people, and we started Media Zona, which became since 2014 one of the biggest media outlets in Russia. We have more than 60 people working full time, and a lot of volunteers and people working freelance. We're working under increasingly difficult circumstances, and we're being attacked, thrown to jail for our activity, and pretty much everyone who works within Pussy Riot or Media Zona ecosystem, we know that we can be attacked, thrown in jail, or even lose our life at any point, but we still do it because we believe that freedom is important.
Yeah, so your journey is incredible. It's remarkable seeing the kind of work you're doing. Could you tell us about how you feel when people, not just in your country, but even outside your country? I'm in India, and there are people all across the world who support Pussy Riot. How do you feel about how this movement has grown? Did you have any idea that this would become such a huge movement when you started back in 2011?
It's always my dream to start a movement, but one thing is to dream and another thing to expect, and I never expected it. I think one thing that authoritarian governments do, they give you voice by oppressing you. And I mean, like sometimes they can break you, but in certain in certain cases they just make you stronger, and that would happen in our case. I think well, we did have certain recognition when we were just making our actions. Like we got traction in BuzzFeed, BBC, Huffington Post, pretty much all over the world. But I think our biggest boost happened because we got arrested, and the combination of disproportional measures that were applied to us by our government for simply singing the song, and also us being young feminists with really like simple agenda. We're standing for something, and we're still standing for something that people all around the world can understand. We stand for women's rights to have autonomy over their body, and we stand for people's rights to have any type of sexuality they want to have. We stand for people's rights to create art and have freedom of speech. So these are values that are universal, and I think they could be understood by people in any part of the world. And it magically brought us to the point where we are right now, where we actually do have a movement, and we're incredibly thankful for everyone who is involved, for everyone who supported us while we were in jail, because it is actually a matter of survival. Sometimes people don't get out of jail, and with help of everyone who expressed their support to us, we are alive and thriving and giving voice to other people now.
Like you just said, you're giving voice to other people now. Could you actually tell us about your Unicorn DAO? Like you said, you're talking about people, feminists, and you're talking about women who are being suppressed, people being suppressed because of their sexuality. Can you tell us how Unicorn DAO is going to help those people?
Unicorn DAO is a collective of people that has one goal: to collect art created by women, non-binary, and LGBTQ plus people. We see big disparity in the traditional art world and also in the realm of digital art world. Female art is being sold for much less, generally 50% less than art made by men, unfortunately. And there is a bias that's been proven by so many studies, and often even there are sociological studies, psychological studies where a piece of art being created by an algorithm, so they literally do not have any gender, but then later people would prescribe bigger value to something that they think was created by a male artist, which is understandably so. We got our right to vote. We got our economic and political rights just around 100 years ago, and culture doesn't change overnight. So that's why it's really important to keep pushing for equality and closing gender gap on cultural, economic, and political level. And Unicorn DAO is by collecting works of art created by underrepresented groups of people, creates this hopes to create new paradigm in the digital art world in Web3. We want to close gender gap in Web3 and hope that, because I do believe that metaverse, crypto, and Web3 are going to be increasingly influential. And I cannot, unfortunately, don't have enough power to close this gender gap in traditional art world or in traditional finance. So I think because this Web3 is so new and malleable, we still can change a lot of things here, but just putting a lot, like really strong network of people. And we have, people like Grimes and Sia and Bored Apes Yacht Club and World of Women, People, and many Web3 financial institutions are coming together to try to solve this problem together with us. So I think, with further mass adoption of NFTs and crypto, and masses of people and corporations entering this space, for them it's going to be for them, they will have to take it for granted that in this space, gender gap is not a thing anymore. Women are really equal to men here, and it's not just a statement, it's an economic reality.
Yeah, so you just spoke about cryptocurrencies and the whole Web3 and the role of, bridging the gender gap. Could you, you also have the Ukraine DAO, about which we'll talk shortly, but could you tell us why cryptocurrencies are best to use in the case of activism, and why, you already have previous projects, related to this. So why do you actually prefer cryptocurrencies over, the traditional means of fiat currencies or other things like that?
Mm, I'm not a crypto maxi by no means. I do think that there's way for traditional fiat currency, obviously, but there are advantages that crypto gives you. It is transparent. It is anonymous if you choose so. So in cases when you're when you are under danger of being prosecuted by government or governments, for example, when a Russian person send money to Ukraine to support Ukrainians fighting against Russian invasion, then you can be prosecuted in Russia. So by using cryptocurrency, you solve this issue. It's really efficient. It's really quick. So, for example, when we started Ukraine DAO in the beginning of March, when at the beginning of invasion of Russia in Ukraine, we were able to raise more than $7 million in just a few days. And in the next 24 hours, we were able to disperse this money. And I think, especially in the critical geopolitical situations like this one, it's so important to act really quickly. And as a person who works a lot with traditional NGOs, nonprofits for over 15 years, I know that it can be really clumsy and really, really slow at times. And sometimes you would wait for a grant for $20,000 grant for a year. And, it's like when the time comes, it's too late.
Okay, so we spoke about the Ukraine DAO. You mentioned the Ukraine DAO, and like we see, the conditions are still extremely bad in the country. But the thing is, the media isn't covering it anymore. There's no juice in that. People don't want to watch it anymore. People are bored about it. So is your media organization still actively covering the war?
Yes, Media Zona actively covers the war and everything, all the protests that are happening around war in Russia. And in fact, there are a lot of protests happening in Russia. You do not hear about a lot of them because they're being suppressed. They're not being talked about by design. Russian propaganda prefers not to talk about them. People are being thrown to jail for appearing on the street with a piece of blank paper. There's a really young girl. She's around 20 years old. She put stickers in a supermarket, anti-war stickers in a supermarket, and she was sent to jail, and she's facing up to 15 years in jail. She's also cannot tolerate gluten, which it creates a really big danger for her health. Obviously, in jail, nobody cares if you gluten intolerant. So these kind of stories are being covered by Media Zona, and we still cover it every day. We function fully. Most of the reporters, they had to move outside of Russia for their safety.
Okay. So, this is not about, this was not on our agenda, but since we spoke about people are actually opposing the war in Russia, do you think there's no stopping Putin now? Is there no way he can be stopped? Like, what's wrong with the international organizations? Why is the UN not working? Why are other countries like the US and everybody in the West, why are they not saying anything? So, do you think there's no way stopping this ban?
Oh, well, this is not my territory. I'm not a geopolitical expert. I do think that global community reacts a lot in this situation. So comparing to what was happening in 2014, when Putin invaded Crimea, when Putin invaded eastern Ukraine for the first time and he started a war, I felt like global community behaved really in a complacent manner, and this is something that brought Putin to where he's right now, because he felt like he's not going to pay any price for his wrongdoings, and yeah, that's why we're where we are right now. But I do think that they react much more much better than they used to react. But obviously, I would like to see more action. And honestly, just I would listen to what President Zelensky asks, because I believe that Ukrainian people are fighting as tigers in this war. They're so brave. They're so untamed. They have such deep respect of mine. So I think, while not being a by no means geopolitical expert, I would just advise everyone just to hear what President Zelensky says and see what can be done from what he asks for.
Now, since we were just talking about Ukraine, tell us about how did you come up with the idea of Ukraine DAO and how everyone, I believe people within days you were able to raise over $7 million, and
Mhm.
I believe the people in Ukraine also love you for that. So could you tell us about the Ukraine DAO and how the funds were used? I mean, if you're, allowed to disclose that information.
Yes, of course. And one of the great things about crypto is everything is transparent. So you can see transactions, all the transactions that we've done as Ukraine DAO. Most of the money went to an organization that's called Come Back Alive, and they literally help Ukrainian people to come back alive from this war by providing them helmets and body armor. And the second biggest chunk of money was sent to Ukrainian government.
Yeah.
They started to accept cryptocurrency from the beginning of the war. They opened Bitcoin and Ethereum wallet, and that was actually really incredible. It showed how open-minded and just flexible in a good sense Ukrainian authorities are. So around $1.5 million was sent to them. $600,000 were sent to an organization that's called Outright, and they're focusing on helping LGBTQ plus people in the in global context. But we send money exactly to help LGBTQ plus people to escape the war zone if they like to escape. The rest of the money were dispersed between organizations that help animals that were abandoned in territories of the war zone, and an organization that provides psychological help to people in the war zone or their relatives who are not necessarily in the war zone but still struggling with mental health, like overcoming the situation. So the way how the organization was started, Ukraine DAO, started really quickly. It was me and around 10 other people who just couldn't watch and without doing anything. That's what was going on. And I believe that activism is one of the best tools of self-therapy in situations like that, because you cannot just take in so much pain without trying to do something to fix it. And we were able to put it all together so quickly because we've been working on Unicorn DAO luckily for the last 3 months up at the moment. So we already had this amazing network of people who wanted to use crypto as like tools to build better world. So that was a great exercise for all of us, how we can come together and work and build something really quickly. And what we've done, we sold an NFT of Ukrainian flag for more than $7 million. And everyone could contribute as much or as little as they wanted. We used this platform called Party Bid, where people could just contribute as much ETH as they wanted.
Okay, that was really remarkable, the way you've tried to help people and the way you actually integrated cryptocurrencies as a way to help people in different, walks of life, be it the war or be it art or other things. Thank you so much for joining us, Nadia. It was incredible talking to you. Thank you for taking out the time. I hope we get to talk again, but in better times. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.